Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. What an extraordinary last week or so we've had in this country. We've witnessed some amazing victories and some awful bellwethers for the future of the country. I'll get to all that as the show progresses. But welcome. Glad to have you here. If I remember the Democrat Party, hell, if I remember of the Republican Party, and they did the same thing to Democrats that the Democrats did to Brett Kavanaugh last week, I would be ashamed. I would be embarrassed. Brett Kavanaugh may be a man. He may be a white guy. Easy to beat up on white guys now. But he is a good and decent person. A woman came forward, sent a letter to Dianne Feinstein. The woman involved was a political tool. A liberal college professor. Palo Alto, one of the most liberal places in the world. She's given money to 60 Democrat causes, including Hillary Clinton's election campaign, I should say. She hired she didn't hire. George Soros hired a radical leftist attorney to represent her. Bought and paid for. A radical leftist activist. Christine Blasey Ford came out for the Women's March in Washington, D.C. right after Donald Trump was elected. That wasn't a women's march. That was a radical leftist, anti-Trump, pro-Hillary march. And it just so happens that at least 95% of the women there had female parts. Because, it's 2018. And some people say that you can still have a penis and be a girl. Whatever. I am not here to pass judgment. Brett Kavanaugh, despite bringing up yearbook scribings from 36 years ago. Wow. Notes from a 16-year-old in a yearbook being brought into a Supreme Court nominees hearings. How absurd. Bringing a woman who 36 years ago doesn't know where the hell she was, doesn't know what year she supposedly was attacked by Brett Kavanaugh, reminding you, of course, that she's a political operative, she's a tool. Didn't know what night, didn't know where, didn't know what year. Said there were 6 people there originally, and then 4. They asked the 4 people, including her best friend. None of them have any recollection of it. This is the height of absurdity, and it would just be absurd if it weren't so damned effing dangerous. And it's dangerous. Because we nearly destroyed a man's career on hearsay. We nearly wrecked a man's life. I didn't. We didn't. The left did. Because of absurd accusations made by at least 3 people with no corroboration, no evidence, and no witnesses. Donald Trump apologized on behalf of the American people. The left, of course, does not feel like they need to apologize because, they know that he's guilty, right? Here's the president at the ceremonial swearing in of Brett Kavanaugh as a Supreme Court justice, apologizing on behalf of the American people.
I would like to begin tonight's proceeding differently than perhaps any other event of such magnitude.
But you do all the time.
On behalf of our nation, I want to apologize to Brett and the entire Kavanaugh family for the terrible pain and suffering you have been forced to endure. Those who step forward to serve our country deserve a fair and dignified evaluation.
Oh, we didn't get that.
Not a campaign of political and personal destruction
Kinda
based
had
on
that.
lies and deception. What happened to the Kavanaugh family violates every notion of fairness, decency, and due process. Our country, a man or a woman, must always be presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty.
Now, of course, in other countries like Great Britain, you're guilty until proven innocent. And that's what they wanted to do to Brett Kavanaugh. They wanted to say he was guilty. Prove otherwise. You know, she says it happened. She's believable. She's believable. Why is she believable? Well, hashtag Me Too movement, you see. I mean, it's not possible for a woman to make up a story because she's a political operative who's given money to 60 Democrat organizations and is a hyper left-leaning academic. I mean, she couldn't possibly be making this up. Maybe it was her therapist making $150 an hour who helped to plant a memory in her mind that would explain some of the issues she's having in her life. Maybe something did happen to Christine Blasey Ford. I don't know. But as far as Brett Kavanaugh is concerned, with regard to an attack and evidence and the presumption of innocence, it never happened. Sucks to be you if you're a Democrat. As far as evidence and everything concerned, it never happened. Get used to it. And I don't believe it happened. At least at the hands of Brett Kavanaugh. I don't believe that. I don't believe that she sat on this for 36 years. I think she went to a therapist and the therapist said, hey, she was triggered by something traumatic must have happened to explain her whatever is going on in her life right now. So, you know, boy, if I want to earn my keep as a therapist, make $150 an hour, $200 an hour, we've got to find something to blame her issues are. Because that's why she's seeing a therapist, you see, because she has issues. Been there, done that. You're in to see a therapist because you have issues. The therapist, yes, they're very helpful, don't get me wrong. But occasionally, they will want to feed on a narrative. You were abused as a child. You had repressed memories. And people have gone to jail on repressed memories. Later been released because it was a lie. Because it was fed to someone, a vulnerable person who needed help, on a narrative that the therapist wanted to reinforce. Nobody else is saying that. Nobody else is saying that. I am saying that. Let me mess with my adjustments over my audio adjustments over here. I'm my own director, by the way, in case you didn't know. We saw I won't call it anarchy, but we saw, I won't call it civil disobedience either because it wasn't civil. But we saw a mob. We saw a mob gathering with figurative pitchforks and torches around the U.S. Capitol last week. And they were ready to haul somebody out. And they were ready to wreck their lives. You know, I'm not going to use the lynching analogy, okay? Because it's overdone, and he's a white guy. But they were ready to drag him out publicly and make him the devil. And they were willing to convict him before due process. It's stunning, but not surprising. Not surprising. I've got a sound clip from Hillary Clinton here that's not surprising, but what is surprising is that some people think she believes this, and I don't. I'm going to explain that in just 1 second. Mike Pence, after Brett Kavanaugh was passed as a Supreme Court justice, walked out into the mob, hesitated briefly, thought about turning around, and then said, nah, you know what? I'm not going to do this. And I think it's pretty cool of Mike Pence. Here's the exchange. Well, it's not really an exchange on the Capitol Hill steps. Shame. Shame for what? Shame. Shame. What? Ashamed of what? Ashamed that someone wasn't destroyed because due process didn't happen? Really? Where's the shame other than you disagree with these idiot AstroTurf protesters brought in from other cities, bought and paid for? Where is the shame other than as a talking point? I would say that to be bought and paid for as a protester would be more shameful than anything Mike Pence did supporting Brett Kavanaugh. Well, let's do this. Whoa. God, leftist protesters are so stupid. Dear Lord in heaven. Unbelievable. Let's get to Hillary Clinton. Oh, and then I've got some video from the Anti-Fah. Anti-Fah, what a stupid name for a group of 20-somethings who have gone through 20 years of indoctrination in American universities with regard to social justice and white supremacy. And why I'm a victim? Because I'm a failure. Why I'm a victim? Because I'm a failure. Blame it on somebody else. Why do I live in my mom's basement? I'm going to put on a black hoodie and be an Anti-Fah and blame it on white people. I'm going to get into that in a second. And I will tell you there's going to be some uncensored profanity in the video. I'm not going to use a profanity. I don't like to use profanity when I podcast. Poopy. Oh, that's about it, right? Sometimes I'll occasionally step in it, but not too much. But I'm going to offer you uncensored, uncivil profanity by the Anti-Fah. One of the dumbest names ever. Dear God, the Anti-Fah. And they're fascists. That's the thing. They're fascists. They drown out debate. They burn books. They wreck storefronts. They stop university speakers from speaking. They are fascists. They're so effing stupid they don't know it, though. I won't say they're stupid. I think they're textbook smart. They're just not, they're just ignorant. All right. But let's hear Hillary Clinton. I just can't think she's serious about this. I just can't think she's serious about this. Let's find the soundbite here. Hold on 1 second. Hillary Clinton. Let me see if I know I have it here. Cut number 25. This is what happens when you run your own show. Okay, I'll have to load it, I guess. Hillary Clinton talking to, I guess, Christiane Amanpour. Let me grab this real quick here. She says that the only way for civility to come back to Washington, D.C. is if Democrats run both houses again. And I think it's here she is. Okay, here's Hillary Clinton talking about civility and Democrats taking over.
Moments ago. This is what the former Secretary of State says about that.
Okay.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
Okay, now, just real quick, I'm just saying that the Republican Party is not behind Anti-Fah. violent protests, burning dumpsters and limousines and police cars. We just aren't. I'm not a huge fan of the Republican Party as is, but we're not. Okay, we're not. And what are your beliefs, Sunshine? Honestly, what are your beliefs here?
Party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
What does the Democrat Party stand for, guys? Women's choice. Women's choice. It's about killing a baby in the womb, and babies, at least 50% of the time, grow up to be women. Is that what you stand for, really?
That's why I believe if we are fortunate enough to win back the House and/or the Senate, that's when civility can start again.
Now, the party of incivility right now is suddenly going to be civil if they win both houses of Congress. Now, this kind of reminds me of your kid throwing a tantrum. Okay? This reminds me of your kid throwing a tantrum because your kid, might throw a tantrum and you'll give into it. Hillary Clinton is saying basically, we are going to behave uncivilly until we are reelected, and then we're going to be okay. It's like taking your kid through the checkout aisle with candy versus not. The Democrat Party is going to pitch a fit until they can go through the candy aisle. Then they'll be okay. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good analogy. A little bit more from this awful, awful, wretched woman.
But until then, the only thing that the Republicans seem to recognize and respect is strength. And
so that reminds me of George Bush, the battle on terrorism. It's a really piss poor analogy on her part. And why doesn't the Democrat Party have strength now? But anyway, the terrorists in the Middle East only understand strength. They do. There's no reason, there's no whatever. But if you kick their asses, then they understand it. I think that's a really twisted and sick analogy on her part. And I believe that's where she was going. The only thing the Republicans understand is strength. Well, we've got the strength now, Sunshine. We've got the strength now. Unfortunately, you do not. And it appears to be moving in our direction.
Heard how the Republican members, led by
Christine Amanpour with her duck lips. Yes, okay.
By Mitch McConnell, the president, really demeaned the confirmation process.
How? How did he demean the confirmation process? Because you say that Christine Blasey Ford did it, and there were some people who said, hey, really, due process says we can't prove it. It's not saying that it might not have happened. It's not demeaning her in any way, shape, or form. It's just saying, you got to prove it. You got to prove it. This isn't O.J. Simpson and the white Bronco and the blood and the shoes and the knife and all that stuff. It's nothing like that. It's just somebody who's, I have to say it again, political operative who gives a lot of money to the Democrat Party and leftist organizations, just happens to be a radical leftist professor, hired an extremely radical lawyer supported by George Soros, and I'm supposed to believe that she's innocent. And she's doing this purely because she had a repressed memory that was brought out because she was renovating her house 10 years ago. Okay. Yeah, I don't think so. So let's share some civility of the Democrat Party. Okay? Hillary Clinton says if the Democrat Party is suddenly reelected, civility will return. Now, she's saying that because the Republicans are uncivil, that civility will return. I'm saying because the Democrat Party has been throwing a tantrum that they will decide to act like adults when they become the majority again, which I don't think is going to happen. But here's a little bit of some of this civility with regard to, like, Marco Rubio, right before the vote for Judge Kavanaugh. Civil.
Senator, being in the legal field, do you think this is going to be the new norm when appointing a Supreme Court justice now?
I don't know, man. It could be. I mean, people are heated right now, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and we got a particular case where we got to operate based on the information we have available to us.
Yeah, but now the way everybody's reacting to this now,
there she is. She's talking over him. She's trying to filibuster. This is what the left does. They filibuster. So you can't talk. You can't get a word in edgewise.
Supreme Court Justice Herron coming forward. That's going to be going on for after this.
Well, we had one a few months ago, and it didn't work out that way. They're all different. This particular case touches on it. Well, it also touches on an issue that's very sensitive and obviously very important in this country.
Very sensitive.
And it needs to be handled in an appropriate way. So there's a single shred of corroborating evidence.
There was a lot of this going on at the nation's capital. There was a lot of this yelling at people, getting on elevators, whatever, and it's a filibuster. It is not about somebody who otherwise wouldn't be heard. It's about a mob. I need someone to powder my forehead, sir. It's about a mob coming into a place that should be civil because it's our governance for both parties. But unfortunately, that's not happening. Civility, and I've been talking about the death of civility in this country for at least 20 years. Here's Mazie Hirono, senator from the state of Hawaii, who got a lot of notoriety for saying things like men in this country should shut up with regard to the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh. Here she is refusing to back down on harassing other senators, other legislators, other cabinet members, which creates a very, very, very unprecedented possibility of violence that we've not seen in a long time.
For our lives, for life.
I want to ask you about the atmosphere. The president and Republicans, what they are saying is that Democratic protesters are, quote, an angry mob.
They are.
And what I want to ask you about is, it is one thing to protest at the Supreme Court, to do it at the Capitol. That's been done for generations and, frankly, since the founding of this country.
But not screaming at people in elevators.
It's another thing to run senators out of restaurants, go to their homes. Is that going too far?
I think that it just means that there are a lot of people who are very, very much motivated by what is going on. Because what happened?
What happens if we're in your face? Senator, I want this to happen to Democrat senators. I want this to happen to Democrat senators. I mean, if you're going to play this game, I don't like playing this game, but let's play. Bring it. Bring it. This is not a technique that is used by conservatives or Republicans for that matter. But she seems to be cool with it. So either you condemn this or let's bring it. Let's bring it to Democrat senators. Let's use reason. I don't like drowning out people because I can win arguments with reason and intelligence. Mazie Hirono cannot. That's why she supports people being scared, being silenced. That's why she likes it, because she's a frigging leftist Democrat. A little bit more from Dizzy Hirono.
With Judge Kavanaugh is from the very beginning, this was not a fair process. What the Republicans...
Yeah, for him it was not. He was accused without any evidence, any witnesses, anything. You're right, it's unfair.
There was a telegraph after Dr. Ford's account came forward. What they telegraphed was, one, Dr. Ford, we don't want to hear from you. Two, if we have to hear from you...
Wait, she sent a telegraph? Did she send a letter by the Pony Express, too?
We're going to rig the hearing so that...
Should the going after people at restaurants stop?
Well, this is what happens,
Distract.
Because when you look at white supremacists and all of that, this is what's coming forth in...
Those are the talking points of the left. We just heard about them, and I'll get to them with regard to the Anti-Fah in a moment.
Our country, there's a tremendous divisiveness in our country.
Yes,
but,
caused by people like you.
This is the kind of activism that occurs, and people make their own decisions. If they violate the law, then they have to account for that.
One last
question. Okay. Nonsense. Just nonsense. Nonsense. Here's the civility of the left. Hillary Clinton says that civility will be reinstated if Democrats win. Design lead executive at Google, Dave Hogue, on Saturday, said after Brett Kavanaugh was his nomination was approved, "You are finished at GOP. You polished the final nail in your own coffins. F you all to hell." It's been deleted. Here's a little bit more from the tweet, I should say. "I hope the last image is burned into your slimy, evil, treasonous retinas. Are millions of women laughing and clapping and celebrating as your souls defend into the flames." Oh, wow. Bravo. Wow. Descend into the flames for what? For what? Do I have to do it again? I think I have to. Christine Blasey Ford, Democrat operative, giving a lot of money to Democrats, Hillary Clinton supporter, radical leftist academic, sends a letter to Dianne Feinstein when Brett Kavanaugh is the nominee for Supreme Court, who's a conservative, who is her political enemy. Dianne Kavanaugh sits on the letter, or it could be a telegraph. It could be a Pony Express letter as well. We don't know. We don't know. Because I guess people do that still. And we're supposed to believe her. And we're supposed to believe her. Hogue confirmed that he had deleted the tweet. Yes, I deleted that tweet. Yes, those opinions are mine personally, and I'm responsible for them. Yes, I should have been more eloquent. There's no apology here. And less condemning. Yes, I believe the GOP is wrong and not serving your best interests. Yes, I believe. He says a lot of yes, I believe. We can do much better. Yeah, I think you can do better at Google as far as your job, I think. You could do better, Google. Spokesperson for Google says what employees say in their personal capacity has no bearing on the way we build and operate our products. Well, that's bullcrap, actually, too. Because Google likes to censor, Facebook likes to censor, Twitter likes to censor political views that are conservative. Yeah. I don't know what that beeping is. What is that beeping that's going on there? See these T-shirt designs? These are mine. And my friend Sam Cangelosi's. Veganism is an eating disorder. Make America bait again. Hillary in 20, never. Socialism sucks. 80, I don't care that you're offended. Uranium One, making Russia great again. All of these are available on T-shirts, on hats, on mouse pads, on a host of different things. Just go to TeePublic. Look for conservatives. We're going to be moving our stuff over to liberty1tv.com, liberty1tv.com, because they're great. Also, Spreely.com, the new Facebook that doesn't regard political opposition as a reason to get rid of people, as a reason to shadow ban them or suspend them. Spreely.com and SpreelyTV.com. You may be watching the show right here. All right? Minnesota special education teacher has been placed on administrative leave after posting a tweet Saturday that appeared to call for the killing of Brett Kavanaugh. Yeah, says here. So who's going to take one for the team and kill Kavanaugh? That's it's so neat that a special ed teacher is teaching that. This is according to the Star Tribune. They're not naming the teacher because she has not been charged with a crime. But that's what she said. Who's going to take one for the team? Somebody kill her. I mean, it's like what Osama bin Laden, for lack of a better analogy, Osama bin Laden got a lot of people to kill themselves, even though he didn't do it. That sounds really familiar. Okay, who's going to get in there and blow themselves up or fly a plane into a building? I'm not. I've got to lead the movement. I would. But seriously, Tuesday, I've got a manicure. Leader of a group organizing the opposition to Brett Kavanaugh's nomination, Brian Fallon, called for progressives, dear God in heaven. Do you think that taking the United States into socialism is progressive? Do you think that taking people in the way of Venezuela is progressive? God, I hate the hijacking of the left of words. I really hate that. Abortion isn't abortion. It's choice. It's choice. It's a woman choosing. You know what? You can also choose not to have an abortion. I didn't say anything, but you can also choose not to have an abortion. Yeah, I know. Crazy. Freedom of choice. How about this? Pro-abortion, anti-abortion. I ain't got to change it. Can't be liberal. My God, you cannot be liberal. Why not? Be proud of it. Be proud that you're liberal. Be proud that you're a socialist. Susan Ocasio-Cortez. Be proud of it. Yeah, she is. She's ballsy. Bernie Sanders calls it a Democrat. I'm a democratic socialist. It's an absolute oxymoron. Absolute oxymoron. I'm a democratic socialist. Bullcrap. No, you're not. You're a socialist. You don't believe in democracy. Give me a break. Because most people who would choose in a democratic system would not choose socialism. Because socialism sucks. It's terrible. All righty. I've got a lot of stuff I want to get to here. Hold on. Let me check my timer. Okay. We still got about another 28 minutes. Joe Lockhart talked about the Kavanaugh win being a crushing defeat for women. Now, it's always a crushing defeat for women when the left doesn't agree with you. It's always a crushing defeat when abortion is restricted. So it is a crushing defeat for women. We forget about the women in your tummy. They're not women yet, but, they're growing. They look like little cold-boiled shrimp, and then all of a sudden they get a heartbeat, and then all of a sudden they start moving and sucking their thumbs and stuff. And it's kind of cool because they become human beings, and they get little vaginas and pee-pees and all that, and then all of a sudden they're children and boys and girls in the womb, and they become women, but a lot of times they don't. Because somebody decides that I lived through the womb, but maybe you not so much, because it's freedom of choice. It's freedom of choice. Here is Joe Lockhart talking about how it's a crushing defeat for all women that a guy who was accused of some sort of sexual crime with no evidence, you know the drill. Yeah, okay, I get it. That's fine.
Joe, I'll give you the last word because we're almost out of time.
Well, I think the big question in my mind is, I think this is in many ways a crushing defeat for women and women's rights.
Women agree with you.
And the question is, are people going to be energized by that? Women in general, and men who believe in women and their ability.
Only women who agree with you, Joe. Joe.
To have a voice, is it energizing them, or will they say enough? I can't do this anymore.
Which do you think it is? Because I think to a large extent, Democrats are like Cleveland Browns fans, where they just assume in the end they're going to blow it.
That's a great. Democrats are like Cleveland Browns fans. They just assume in the end they're going to blow it. Not exactly the best analogy. I mean, the Browns. Yeah,
I hope it's different. I actually do believe it's different. But you can certainly understand if you're sitting as a sexual assault survivor and someone like Dr. Ford comes forward reluctantly, and then
does she really come forward reluctantly? No, she didn't come forward reluctantly. This is a play. This is a frickin' play. Give me a frickin' break. I told you about her credentials. Radical leftist, radical academic. Given money to 60 liberal causes, and you expect it just came out of nowhere. You are such an idiot.
The white men in this country stand up and
there we go, the white men. You got to make white men feel mad. Although you are one, actually.
Say, we don't believe you.
There's something else to it, too.
The white men in the country. A lot of white women and other women don't believe her either.
I will say, just in my conversation with women, and
you know what? It's really weird, because a lot of guys are married to women. And at least 98% of the time, fathers are men. It's changing, right? And brothers are men, and uncles are men, and all that. Right? So I wouldn't exactly say you have a mandate on thought, in this country with regard to how women feel about men?
For different generations, right? My own younger and older than me. It's not even just that part of it. For a number of those women, and especially of an older generation that I was speaking to over the weekend, who are not known for being in their lifetime politically active, it's also the treatment that they saw in the testimony.
Again, and yes, I get it. But she has no proof, and therefore it didn't happen.
And the demeanor and the outburst that they saw from Kavanaugh that energized.
It wasn't an outburst. It wasn't an outburst. It was saying, damn it, I'm going to defend myself. I've led an extraordinary life. I've led an exemplary life. I haven't broken any laws. And how dare you, after I testify, you bring out somebody who is a liberal academic with a letter to Dianne Feinstein that she sat on, not a pretty picture, that she sat on until the hearings were over so he couldn't defend himself. Shut the F up.
In terms of the reaction to that, and if a woman had said it. I think that would be
there's also not, there is...
God, they've got so many stupid people on television. They've got so many stupid people, ignorant people on television like these doofuses here. Unbelievable.
Some split among women about all of that.
This David Gregory, what a moron.
But there's also context, which is the president's party, the president himself, has already been losing ground with women, which makes it more difficult.
Never lost the ground with women when Bill Clinton was banging the snot out of them in hotel rooms guarded by Arkansas state troopers.
Thank you all. Joe, Oren, David.
Yeah, we're done with you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you later. Get out of here. Swetnick. Oh, this is interesting. Julie Swetnick. She did a sworn testament. She said that she went to 10 parties. Wow. She went to 10 parties where apparently Brett Kavanaugh, why would you go to 10 parties if you knew your friends and other women were being gang raped? Wow. I mean, who can't resist a party where people are being gang raped? I mean, honestly, wow. Geez, that's Michael Avenatti client, Stormy Daniels' attorney. He makes it even more credible, spectacular. She's backing away from her most recent headline-grabbing accusations. She said that there were some debauched parties Kavanaugh threw with his friend Mark Judge. Apparently, there were women groped, got women drunk against their consent, made degrading comments about women, drugged women, raped women, and even most egregiously arranged gang rapes on women. And nobody knew anything about this because, I mean, it was the 80s, right? I mean, you could get away with gang rapes. I can't tell you how many gang rapes I've gone to. And just they're not going to say anything. I mean, there are hundreds of women involved. They're not going to say anything. You know what? Please. There would be someone coming forward. Yes, I realize there is shame in sexual assault. There are women who will be quiet. But as far as a dozen gang rapes, honestly, wow. Here she is backing away from her original sworn testimony.
Against theirs, he would grope them. There are some differences between Swetnick's sworn statement last week and what she told us. In that statement, Swetnick said she became aware of efforts by Kavanaugh and his friend Mark Judge to spike punch at parties.
Spike punch. Okay, this is my generation here. We didn't spike punch in the 80s. We didn't spike punch. Although I didn't drink in high school, really. We do things like have Spoli, which is just everybody bring booze and throw it into a tub. But we didn't spike punch. That's like a 1950s thing, spiking punch. First of all, nobody had any punch. Nobody brought punch to parties in the 1980s, and they certainly didn't spike the punch. Dear God.
In our interview, she said she saw them near the punch, but did not.
There was a punch. There was a punch bowl at the party in the 80s. Oh, please.
Specifically say she saw either man spike it. Did you see Brett Kavanaugh?
Spiking of the punch.
You know, spiking the punch, putting green
I saw him giving red Solo cups to quite a few girls.
Yeah, red Solo cups also. I don't recall red Solo cups being a really big deal in 1983-84. I mean, they're kind of a big deal now. There was a song by country music, a red Solo cup. I really love that song, actually. but red Solo cups filled with spiked punch in the 1980s. I lived through the 80s, and you are no 1980s. No, spiked punch in red Solo cups. I say bullcrap. I say bullcrap. Yeah. It wasn't, it was a different time. I'm not saying that men didn't get women drunk and take advantage of them, but it is not today.
During that time frame, and there was green punch at those parties.
Green punch. Was green punch a big thing in the 80s? Am I out of touch here? Green punch?
And I would not take...
It's an East Coast thing? I don't know what the hell.
One of those glasses from
Mark
Kavanaugh.
Mark Kavanaugh.
I saw him around the punch, I won't say bowls.
Now she's saying there are no punch bowls.
Or the punch containers.
Punch containers, like what kind of container? That he's there with his red Solo cups that people weren't using in 1983.
I don't know what he did, but I saw him buy them, yes.
Wow, it gets more vague by the moment. This is spectacular stuff. This is just spectacular stuff. Julie Swetnick. Have you got your tickets to Bill and Hillary live? Yes. Yeah, Bill and Hillary are going to go live. Live Nation is putting on a speaking tour. Tickets are range from $70 to $700. Live Nation's putting it together because Michelle Obama went behind a tour to promote her new book, as well as Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and Bruno Mars. Now, she had Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and Bruno Mars, and Michelle Obama's not going to fill an arena, okay? Michelle Obama did not fill an arena. But if you invite Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and Bruno Mars, then you've got a concert. You may recall when, before the election in 2008, Barack Obama did some speeches in Germany in front of the Brandenburg Gate. And he had a crowd of 20,000 people. Nobody in Germany gave a crap about Barack Obama. They didn't know anything about him. Did you know anything about anybody running for office in 2008 in Germany? Nobody knew anything about him, but there was a big old rock concert and free beer. That said, considering that Donald Trump over the weekend, he was in West Virginia and Topeka, Kansas over the weekend. 11,000 people inside, 9,000 people not being able to get in from the outside. They're doing some arena venues like the 5,200-seat Park Theater in Vegas and the Toronto Scotiabank Arena November 27th. Montreal's it's all Canada. That's November 28th. Smart Financial Center in Sugar Land, Texas on December the 4th. So these are small venues. 3,000-seat Beacon Theater in New York. I wouldn't exactly call this an arena tour. It's not an arena tour. This is a freaking theater tour, and they'll be lucky to fill it up, paying $700 to listen to Bill and Hillary Clinton, watching an elderly couple sit together and reminisce about greatness that once was. Anybody want to see that? Anybody? Bring Beyonce in, maybe Weezer. I didn't see Weezer. I'd leave after they leave, and Bill and Hillary took over, but I didn't pay for Weezer. All right, I'm going to run uncensored profanity. Because the left is all in for the Anti-Fah. Barack Obama, and I've used this analogy before, Barack Obama did like a classic movie villain before he left the White House. He set the stages for disruption and chaos. And then as he was walking away from Washington, D.C. with a little trail of gasoline and a lit cigarette hanging loosely from his lips, realizing that all of the things that he wanted to do as far as sowing chaos without any responsibility for it had been done. So he flicked the cigarette into the gasoline and smiled as he walked away from the explosion. That's my analogy And that's what's happening all over the country. It started with Barack Obama never condemning violence with regard to Black Lives Matter. Never condemning it. Never condemning it. Never saying due process for the police. The police acted stupidly. My son would have looked like, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name. He never said anything to refute or to calm down people with regard to violence on the left. Never did anything like that. Never said anything as Michael Brown was shot and should have been shot by a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri. Okay. And never said anything about what happened in Baltimore, Freddie Gray. All right. Just waited to do it to fester. Waited for it to fester and grow. And then walked away. The Occupy movement, which is a violent and vile movement of radical leftists, spawned in Europe, had been doing this anti-capitalist crap for a very long time, funded by principals like George Soros, squatting in public parks around the country. I saw them in Washington, D.C. Smelled a lot like pot in the morning. You know why? Because they are hired and paid for losers who have no jobs. And they'd go set up a tent and get paid whatever a day, enough to smoke their weed and occasionally sexually assault somebody. Because a lot of that happened there as well. Occupy, the women's movement, which is the radical leftist post-Donald Trump election march that didn't represent women in the country. It represented Hillary Clinton supporters who hated the fact that she got her rear end kicked. There were the protesters on Inauguration Day. Rather than went to the inauguration, they decided they would wreck things, police cars, limousines, storefronts, whatnot. Unbelievable. Oh, I've got to play this bite from Elie Mystal, talking about Donald Trump winning the Supreme Court, now having both, let me see if I can find this, both houses of Congress. Let's see. This is extraordinary. This is the reason why there are mobs in the street. Hold on one second. Let me find it. Hold on. I know I loaded this thing. Let me find it. This is Elie Mystal. I don't know who this person is. I don't even know the sex of this person, to be quite honest. I mean, you'll notice when I play the bite, you'll kind of do the same thing. But regardless, geez, where is this? Hold on one second. I'll find it. But anyway, talking about a 1,000-year Reich by, here it is. Listen to this. Elie Mystal on MSNBC.
The thing about making a deal with the devil is that the devil backs up his bargain, all right? The devil does not welch. Trump has delivered for these people.
Okay, so now, real quick. She says that we people, not Donald Trump is the devil, we are, those who support Donald Trump, we are the devil. You'll recall that Brett Kavanaugh in the hearings said that a senator in the room said he was evil. He was evil. Here's some more from this person.
On the things that they care about most. He has delivered racism for these people.
How is that actually? How exactly is that? How has he delivered racism? I didn't want racism. Did you want racism? I think that most 99% of Trump voters didn't expect racism to be delivered to them. But again, this is typical inflammatory mob rules rhetoric to whip up a frenzy.
He has delivered misogyny for these people.
How was that? I mean, we had a guy in the White House who banged an intern. I'd say that's pretty misogynistic.
And now he's delivered the Supreme Court for these people, which is something that they've been trying to get for a generation. So then the question now becomes...
Too bad, Soph. It sucks to be you. It really sucks to be you.
Not so much like, oh, well...
Did he say not see much or not so much?
This stick for the Republicans? I think it will stick for the Republicans. This is what they want. The question is, what are the Democrats going to do?
They're not going to do anything. Because we're going to kick their ass again and again and again. Because we have the moral and intellectual advantage over their party's ideology.
Turnout doesn't need to be high for a midterm. It needs to be high for a presidential election. All right. And that's what we're about to see. We're going to see if this reign that they now have control over all three branches of government. We're going to see if this reign lasts.
But listen to this. This is where it gets inflammatory and dangerous, as always is with radical leftists. I'm thinking maybe a manatee.
For 30 days or 2 years or 1,000-year Reich. Because
or 1,000-year Reich. Oh, my God. Hitler was a socialist. 2 years or 30 days or 1,000-year Reich. Wow. Bravo. You, whatever you are.
That is what these people have set themselves up for. And it's simply a question of
1,000-year Reich. Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Whether or not the Democrats are going to...
You can't honestly believe that. What, just honestly, all you're doing there is just trying to hurt people and listen again.
Years. Or 1,000-year Reich. Because that is what these people have set themselves up for. And it's simply a question of whether or not the Democrats are going to join the battle and meet them.
I didn't really plan on 1,000-year Reich. I mean, I kind of just was hoping that Donald Trump would be able to hold Congress in 2018 and then win the presidency in 2020. I really hadn't thought about 1,000-year Reich. I guess I'm behind the 1,000-year Reich. This is, wow. 1,000-year Reich. When I elected Donald Trump, I really didn't expect 1,000-year Reich because I'll be alive another 20, 30 years. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about 1,000 years. Interesting. Wow. How dare you? How dare you, you giant manatee? Let's play some Anti-Fah violence. And this is uncensored. I'm going to play it uncensored because I want these sons of beehives. Beehives. I said beehives. Dear God, I'm like a parent. I want these people to be exposed for what they are. This is uncensored. I will stop it periodically, but this is what the Anti-Fah is doing around the country. They had blocked off some streets in Portland because there was a black man who was shot. Because he shot two people and approached officers holding a gun. Imagine that. He was shot for that, Patrick Kimmons. But it doesn't matter. Protesters started a rally in downtown Portland. Disruptive events in downtown Portland, Oregon. Here is some of the just raw video. I wanted to play the raw video of these delightful people. And I really hope that law enforcement cracks down on them, although the Portland police did nothing about it. The mayor did nothing about it. But it's time that they got their asses kicked. Enjoy the lunacy of the left.
Oh, can I? Well, shut the fuck up, sir. Go, traffic, dumb bitch.
Just go that way.
Man, I'd just love to have a concealed carry permit when that bastard came after me, or a big old can of bear mace.
I told you to.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Don't hurt me.
So let me see. You're a giant fat hog, wearing all black, and directing traffic even though you're not a police officer.
Just go.
Yeah, you little white little fucker. Really? Yeah. You're a fucking little whitey, aren't you?
Oh, that is classic liberal academia, social justice, white supremacy stuff. This is what happens when these idiots graduate from college and don't have jobs and get paid by George Soros to protest.
First Amendment, get the fuck down the road.
Please just...
I would stop that car right now and say, get out, let's go.
Be going the direction.
Just please turn right,
Please
for
go
Christ's
the
sake.
direction I asked
For
you to
Jesus
go.
Christ's sake, just turn right.
Please, you're blocking traffic and they're getting pissed at
we're
you.
blocking traffic.
You can turn. You can just turn. Just go. Just go. Just turn, please. Please just
Now
keep
you're gonna have to
going.
wait. She's got cars coming. What are we doing here? Oh, you're from South Carolina. You are a little white supremacist. North Carolina, huh?
Right.
Oh, he's noticed he has a North Carolina license plate.
White supremacist because I'm white. Are you kidding me? Wow. Go back to North Carolina where you came from. We don't need your KKK.
Oh, everybody from North Carolina is a white supremacist and belongs to the KKK.
You can go KKK for North Carolina. Someone shut the fuck up so I can speak. I got traffic.
This is liberal academia at its worst. This is the product of decades of brainwashing.
I got traffic. Ask me if I give a fuck. I was talking to him, not you. Thank you very much. But I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle.
Please just try to touch me. Try to touch me. I would love to have been there at that intersection. Try to touch me.
I'm in the middle of the theater.
Try to touch my car and you're done.
Oh, shit. Someone get my backpack.
If I can have
Someone get my backpack.
Where is it?
Right there.
Okay, let's go forward to them attacking a white guy.
Don't engage.
It's coming up.
I love you.
There's the giant fat hog. There you go. Mother effer. Hey, he hits the car. Okay, here's where it gets good. Guy gets in front of the car, and the car gets beat up. This has been done before. He's trying to escape because he's afraid. And they go after him. The shrill mob goes after him. There they are. They're shrieking. Watch him hit the car. This is to break windows. $3,000 of damage to the car. Oh, Portland just sucks. Portland just sucks. Dear God, who the F would want to live in Portland? My God in heaven. Can we leave on something positive? How about this? Roy Orbison performing live, even though he's dead. Would you go see this concert? I would.
The Caruso of Rock returns. Space Hologram presents Roy Orbison in Dreams, the Hologram Tour.
This is amazing.
Walking down the street, performing all of his greatest hits.
Remember Total Recall? We always thought that was like so futuristic. The future's here. Roy Orbison's hologram, like Princess Leia, is playing in concert.
Live on stage with a full orchestra. Orbison like you've never seen him before. Tickets on sale now.
I want to see it. I want to see that. I want to see Prince. I've already seen Prince in concert. I want to see Ronnie James Dio perform live and dead at the same time. All right, guys, it's time for me to go. Check out my line of garb here. Hillary and 20 Never, tpublic.com, conservatives. Make sure, of course, to check out Spreely.com and Spreely TV. All right, Spreely.tv. In the meantime, God bless you. Thanks for watching, and have a glorious evening. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now.